This is my 1891 Carcano long rifle. I purchased this recently at a gun show locally, and it's in fairly nice shape. You know, the wood's in nice shape. The metal parts are in great shape. The only issue with this particular Carcano is that the handguard is missing. And this is not unusual because these had relatively thin handguards. I don't know if you can see it, but there's not a lot of space under this barrel band here. And they did break quite frequently, and they're incredibly difficult to find. A lot of people say they carry them, but I have been unable to find one. So what I did instead was I did a little looking around, and I said, boy, you know, maybe one of the carbine length handguards might fit where I could cut it up and put it together. This has an 8 5/8 inch overall length. So I did a little bit of research. Some of the carbines are way too short. You can't use the ones that have the adjustable sights because the adjustable sight on a carbine is about this much smaller. And when it flips over, the cuts that are in the handguard are different. When you flip these over, the object of the game being that with this variable sight, when you want to use the basic sight back here, the 300-yard sight, you have to flip this all the way down. And so in the handguard, there is a slope cut and there's a little notch cut so that this sight can come all the way down and get out of the way of this rear sight piece. So basically what I did was, it looked like the 1891 model carbine, which used fixed sights, might be the same size. So I ordered one of those. So let's take a look. I got a box today from the Gun Parts Corp people, my favorite guys out there in, I think, Limerick, right? So let's take a look at the box and see if we have joy or not. And again, this is not going to be the right handguard, but what I'm hoping is that I can use this as like a starter piece, because I'm not very good at working with wood. I'm hoping I can use this as a starter piece and you know, create a new one. I'm having trouble with this thing open, but that's probably not unusual. Got scandal rags. They must read scandal rags in the packing room. Nice press. Oh well. Anyway, so here's the handguard. And one of the reasons I ordered this one is because, as you can see, it is a relatively thin handguard. And what I'm hoping is, if this dimension is close, that all I have to do is notch this out and make this cut. So let's big drum roll, and let's take a look at the current guy here. And what we're going to find is, oh baby, yeah, that looks like it's going to be really close. Now I am going to have to trim these fingers. Aren't quite getting under this sight, but it looks like this is going to fit right on here. And all I will have to do, I mean, I'll obviously have to do some tuning. It's a little bit lighter in color, but not much. You know, it's not real noticeable. And so what I will have to do is I'm going to have to sand this down a little bit so that this barrel band can get under there. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure if the barrel band, I don't know if this is tapered or not, but I can't tell if it's facing the right way. But this definitely looks like it's going to work. It won't be perfect because when these teeth come over, you can see this is just barely making it. So when these teeth come underneath this sight, I'm going to lose a little bit of space there. I may have to carve out a little bit, maybe put some wood putty in here. But it looks like I have a nice starting point here. Like I said, it's not perfect. It's a little bit proud. But I think this was like $12 or $15, so I said, what the hell, I'll take a chance. So we'll take another picture of this after I get through doing a little bit of woodworking and see how this goes. Okay, well, as I said, I'm no woodworking guy, and I don't have a lot of specialty tools for this kind of stuff. So these are the three main elements that I use to try to modify the handguard. I use my regular Leatherman, the serrated blade and the regular blade for making marking cuts and things like that. I use a small coping saw for some of the longer cuts in the to start off, like where the where the ladder sight leans down, and to mark the end of where the new collar cut had to be and all that. So that's basically what I was using. So here's where we're at so far. This is again very rough. So here is the modified handguard. So basically what we've done is we've modified the end of this so this will fit properly underneath the tangs for the flipping the adjustable sight. We've layered out the ramp where the sight has to lay down in, and we've cut the notches where the top blade of the sight comes down into the gun, and that's all in pretty good shape. We took off about this much from the end because the overall length of this is supposed to be 8 5/8, and of course the one I got was more like 9 or 10. So we cut that out, and when we made the adjustments back here, we lost. It was off by about 1/4 of an inch anyway, so we lost a little bit more. So this collar, where the barrel band goes, is supposed to fit up against this edge. This is the old edge. So basically what we've done is we've cut our new edge, not very well either, I'm afraid, but we've cut our new edge, and I've sanded out some of the finish, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to build up with wood putty. I'm going to build up a new shelf for this. And but other than that, it went pretty well. This wood is really old, and it's wicked brittle, and it's easy to chip. So that's why I had to go with small hand tools. And of course, I don't have like a precision chisels or mini box saws or any of that stuff that a normal person would use. I don't normally do this kind of stuff. I usually buy the parts I want. I don't try to fabricate them. But this is where we're at so far. Hey there, I realized after I showed you what I had done that I never showed you how it fit. So this basically is the handguard that's installed on the rifle. The sight is currently folded back, so you can see this area. This will be obviously I'll put some stain or something on that to clean that up. But you can see it's nice and tight. It's not going anywhere. Here's the area that we're going to have to fill in the band, where the barrel band goes, but it actually didn't come out very badly. Here's the so we'll flip the front sight forward, and the front sight nestles down inside there. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to go right inside that notch, and that seems to all work pretty well. So I mean, it's a little ugly because I'm not very good at this, but just to have a handguard on the rifle and be able to use the barrel band so that when I shoot it, it's at least structurally intact, even if it isn't pretty. And like I said, I will probably be working next on putting some putty in here to clean this big gap up. But other than that, it works just fine, and the gun's ready to shoot basically. So that should help. So like I said, I'll play around with this. What I'm concerned with is that if I putty this, I'm fairly certain that the recoil force of whatever's coming out of here is probably going to throw that right off of there. So I'm not sure. This may be an exercise in futility trying to build this up, but what the heck, something to do. So I want to let you know that I did make an attempt of using wood putty to fill the extra groove in here in the handguard, but it just isn't strong enough. That stuff is just not going to cut it. So I realized that when this particular piece was about that much longer, I had cut the nose off. So I had a piece of material. This is what's left over. I had a piece of material about that big. So what I decided to do, since was make a filler piece to glue into this band. Now I can't get it real tight here because this is a sloped edge, and I didn't want to cut this back because I was afraid I'd run out of material. It turns out I probably had plenty of room since I have this material left, but I didn't want to run out of material. So basically what I did was I took the end piece. This is the original. This is the very tip of it, and I cut it into sections wide enough to get me into where the band has to go. So the band, and this is a little tight because I know I got to sand this a little bit, so I made it big on purpose. So the object of the game is I now have this band material here
that's glued in, and I use Tight Bond, which is something I use when I work on guitars, a very strong glue. It's not as strong as a horsehide based glue, but as a regular glue, it's one of the strongest ones you can get. So I took the two pieces. I had to slightly radius the insides of them a little bit more because they obviously, you know, they came out here before. This curve is not the same as the curve on top here. So I had to radius that a little bit, and I glued them in on top of this. And I think this is going to make a much stronger part. What I'll do after the fact is I will sand this down to make these, get rid of these little fingers that are overlapping, and then sand this evenly. And I'll probably end up having to fill this, just that little piece right in here. But I think this will make a much stronger fix, and I'll also get the advantage of this. I'll have the wood grain here, so when I stain this up like I did back here, when I stain this up, I'll have a little bit of wood grain going here. So what I have to wait 24 hours. This has been setting about 2-3 hours, so I could show it to you. But what I'll do next is sand this down, put a small radius on this edge, you know, soften the edge like I did up here, and maybe putty this a little bit, and then I'll be ready to stain it again. So that's what I ended up doing. The wood putty idea, good idea, but it's just too massive a piece of material. And basically what happened was when I started working with it and trying to sand it, it just popped right off, even though I had sanded underneath it to try to get a good fit for the putty, to try to make it fit good. So, and I'm sure there's probably another woodworking product I probably could have used, but I'm just using stuff I have around the house. So what we're going to do is sand this down more even, put the radius on it, stain it up a little bit, and stain this piece a little bit, and that'll be hopefully that will complete this particular project. So I'll show it to you when tomorrow I'll take another whack at it, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so here's a look at the final product. It came out pretty well. I'm pretty pleased with it, you know, given that I'm not a woodworking guy and I don't really do this very well. But here's my new piece that I fabricated to bring the collar up on this part. You can see here where there's no grain, you can see the wood putty where I had a putty in between to get it to be smooth. But other than that, it's the right length, it's basically the right color, and it looks pretty good, and it fits very well. So here's the barrel band. The barrel band fits in there. Sorry, the barrel band fits in there real nice. So let's take it and put it on an actual gun. Now on this particular firearm, in order to get the barrel band on, you have to remove the nose piece. Otherwise, the barrel band can't get past it. And when you install this, you have to put there's not enough room between the stock and the handguard to get the ring on. So you have to put the ring on while it's at the very top, very close to the, in the space on the barrel. I keep doing this wrong. Here on the space in the barrel is where you have to kind of put them together, and then you slide them down as a unit. So we're going to slide this down. Of course, you don't want it real tight, real super tight, because you'll scratch the stock. So, okay, let's swing back over, and here we go. So here is the completed firearm with the barrel band intact, and you can see that it's on there, and it's nice and solid. It doesn't wiggle or move at all. Don't know how well it's going to hold up to being shot, but we'll find that out when I take it to the range for my little range test. But I guess if you can't find one and you just need to want to put one on, this didn't seem like a bad way to do it. So basically, like I said, this started off as an 1871 Carbine model handguard and has been repurposed to this handguard. And again, we'll flip the sights over so you can see the. I can drop the camera a little bit. There we go. So you can see the notch here. You actually can see the metal through the notch, which is what you're supposed to be able to do. This thing just about touches the barrel. So you push this button and flip this forward, and that nestles right down inside there. It fits great. It's down plenty far enough for me to use this rear sight.
So works, you know, it's a good working fix. You know, it's not certainly not any kind of a quality fix, but it's a good working fix. It allows me to put the gun together properly and with all its component parts, and you get a good feel for what it should have looked like when it was 100%. So I'm going to recap the stages. This is the original part as it came out of the box. Then we have at the part after the initial cutting and fitting were done. Finally, we have the addition of the collar that was glued in to adjust where the barrel band rides. And here is the finished product. So overall, a lot of fun, good project. So that's my 1891 Carcano long rifle, handguard, fabrication. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope you have a great day.